following program is intended for mature audiences.
I'm going to be honest with you, bro.
I'm going to beat up John Cena.
Oh, it's a great idea.
So who the hell do you think you are?
I was going to dress up like Bruce the Barber Beefcake, cutting men and strutting, and then I was going to beat up John Cena. Wonderful. I mean, come on. What's more fun than beating up John Cena?
Suplex City, bitch.
Beat up John Cena!
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
And we're all out of bubblegum, and here we are here on the eve of NXT Takeover Brooklyn number 4 and the semi-eve, I guess, maybe, of SummerSlam. I'm Brian Thomas, joined as always by my co-host, Juice Springsteen. Juice, how you doing, man? It's been a while.
Pretty good. Do you feel any older? Since last week we skipped the show for you?
I never feel old. Last week we skipped the show because I'm a dumbass, and I forgot all about the show until about 5 minutes beforehand. And it was also my anniversary weekend, so we were kind of in the middle of doing just anniversary stuff, and I'm like, yeah, I can't really make that show. So I messaged you and let you know. But
no big deal.
The week before was my birthday. I did have a birthday. I'm 40 years old now, so that's kind of crazy to think about. But we're back, you know. I felt bad last week, but we're back and in time. I mean, really, if I look back on last week, there wasn't a whole lot we could have discussed other than, of course, nothing. So I don't think we missed a whole lot by missing last week. And this week we have tons to talk about. We would be remiss if we didn't mention the big news of the week, which was the unfortunate and untimely passing of Jim the Anvil Neidhart, a guy who I grew up on. So that was really sad for me. Bret Hart, obviously, I've always said, is one of my favorite wrestlers of all time, if not the favorite wrestler of mine. And that all started with the British Bulldogs Hart Foundation feud many, many moons ago in the mid-'80s. So to lose Jim the Anvil Neidhart, and on the unfortunate way it sounds like that he did die, is really sad. And so best wishes to his wife Ellie, his daughters, especially Natalia, and all that. The service, I believe, was this afternoon, so real sad. I rarely watch the Total Divas or Total Bellas or whatever the show is now. I rarely watch that, but the times that I did watch and he was on were entertaining as heck because he's a funny guy.
Yeah, it's a tragic loss, and he was such a great character in the ring, and as we saw out of the ring when he was on Total Divas. So it's another tough loss for the wrestling industry, and I feel like it just never ends. We always just get these tragic things happening, and it just sucks. We have a great tight-knit community in the wrestling community, and every time someone gets lost, we got to remember them. So move on. Yeah,
I mean, lately it does feel like we've had, I don't even know how many of these deaths just coming up. It's been tragic, but hopefully they'll slow down now. I mean,
let's hope so.
The last month, what have we had? Like 5 people in the wrestling business that were wrestling related go?
Yeah, and I mean, it's just almost every week it seems like someone passes away. It sucks.
It does. All right, but moving along, we've got some awesome stuff to talk about tonight. NXT TakeOver is tomorrow night, and SummerSlam is this Sunday on pay-per-view. I've heard from multiple people that they're either very excited about both cards or not really excited about SummerSlam, but very excited about TakeOver. What's your thoughts? I think that both cards look pretty well stacked.
Yeah, and I mean, I've said it before on this show. The NXT shows are generally just out of this world and really put a lot of pressure on the show the next night for WWE, even if it's WrestleMania. I mean, they always steal the show at these takeovers, and the Brooklyn show is the NXT WrestleMania, so It's going to be very interesting to see how it goes. I'm excited for both. There's a lot of solid matches on both cards, a lot of great feuds coming down to the wire on both, and I don't know. I'm just really interested to see if Roman Reigns walks out as WWE Universal Champion. That's really the big one.
Yeah, that is the big one, and we'll get to that when we get to SummerSlam. We're going to start with NXT, though, since that is the first show coming up, and that is tomorrow. I've known about most of these matches beforehand when they announced a lot of the spoilers. I went and looked to see. I read the match list for this pay-per-view, and I've been excited ever since. Now, I kept that under wraps because our buddy Jay doesn't necessarily like spoilers. He likes to watch the NXTs and learn about them there. Now, that did change a little bit from the time I read it. Originally, we were going to have Tommaso Ciampa versus Aleister Black in a rematch, and then he got hurt, so they ended up writing him out of it, and Johnny Gargano takes his place, so that's going to be interesting. But let's start at the bottom here. Let's start... let's see. Do you want to talk Velveteen Dream EC3 first or the North American Championship first?
Let's do Velveteen Dream EC3 first.
All right. So that's a match that is an interesting pairing, I would say, especially considering what we've seen on both the social medias and the TV shows where EC3's kind of been mixing it up with that other gentleman who has a very similar gimmick. I can't think of his name all of a sudden.
I can't either.
Anyway, I thought that would lead to it, but then Velveteen Dream comes out and kind of interjects himself into everything, and we now have a Velveteen Dream versus EC3 match, and I'm actually looking forward to this. Velveteen Dream has proven so much over the last several months, come a long way since he first debuted. The first time I ever saw him was at the NXT house show here in St. Paul. And everybody kind of crapped on him because, well, he was doing a gimmick that was very similar to Prince, and Prince had just died recently. And so people were kind of crapping on him. But since then, and watching his progression, he's become a pretty darn good wrestler. And I've always been a big EC3 fan from his Impact Wrestling days. So I'm actually looking forward to see what these two can do together. Velveteen Dream, I have no doubt, can bring it. I think EC3 is the weaker link of the two, but that's not saying a whole lot because EC3, I think, has very good skills as well.
I would agree. I would say it's almost even on par in ring ability. EC3 has brought it since changing his going back to Impact and then coming back into NXT still as EC3. And as you mentioned, Velveteen Dream has just been on this upward path since he got this new character, and he's been killing it out there. It's a Prince, Goldust, whatever you want, weird guy, just androgynous, whatever character, and he is great in the ring, out of the ring, on the mic, and I think the in-ring work is going to really shine with this match. So and the fact that it's just a random match, there's no title, and I'm really excited for it. And if it's probably maybe first or second, you know that there's a good rest of the card for NXT as there normally is.
Yeah, I agree, and I'm looking forward to it as well. For me, I think I'm going to have to go with EC3 winning here. Velveteen Dream doesn't lose anything when he loses, so I think EC3 getting the win makes the most sense here. And they can continue this feud or drop it or whatever they want to do, but it doesn't hurt Dream to lose, so I'm picking an EC3.
I would agree. I think EC3 would need this more for his character than Velveteen Dream would. It goes without saying with a lot of these more heavily driven, character-driven guys, they don't really need titles. They don't really need big wins necessarily all the time. Their character is what defines them. So I think EC3 will win.
All right. Let's move on to the North American Championship match, which I thought was this is going to be good. That's about all I can say. Adam Cole defends his title against Ricochet. I like the build-up that they did with this, with Ricochet kind of being a little cocky and playing against Adam Cole's cockiness to get him to agree to a match. I like the pairing. I think this is a good way that they can showcase a lot of what Ricochet can do because Adam Cole is amazing in the ring. Ricochet is also pretty damn good in the ring. Putting them together, I hope and I think is going to be gold.
I think so too. Ricochet and Adam Cole. This is pretty much just a PWG match from like 3 years ago, and I never would have thought that it's going to be a title match on a big NXT show like this. And I think, well, between this, I don't know. I was going to say this could steal the show, but then I look at the tag team title match, and I know both those teams have had great matches in the past, and then of course the last man standing match we'll get to. But I think this is going to be a great match. And I don't know if Ricochet is going to take the title necessarily. He's another one of those characters that doesn't need a title to really elevate anything. He's just performing in the ring is great. And I like Adam Cole as a heel champion.
Yeah, I like Adam Cole too. I'm going to pick Ricochet to win this. Doesn't necessarily mean he'll win the title per se, but I think he's going to win this match. I don't know. I look at this card and I see the it's basically all title matches except for the Velveteen Dream and EC3. And as we get into it, I just don't see titles switching here very much. And so I can see them pulling this one out and having Ricochet win. The only downside, I think, is that Ricochet's still pretty new to NXT, so I don't know if they'll pull the trigger that fast. But if they're putting him in the match, why not give it a shot? And they can continue that feud that way. And if they need to switch the belt back to Adam Cole, they can do that as well.
That's true. They can give it to Ricochet, and then if it doesn't really work out or pan out as well as they might think, then they could always get it off him. But I don't know. I'm going to take Adam Cole in this one.
All right. Let's talk about the tag team title match, the rest of the Undisputed Era, as we have them, Roderick Strong and Kyle O'Reilly, taking on, once again, Mustache Mountain, Tyler Bate, and Trent Seven. This is going to be fun. I mean, the match they had a few weeks ago on NXT television was one of the best matches I've seen for psychology and work in a long time. So this... I don't know how they're going to top that match or if they even can, but at least I know I'm going to have a good match here.
Yeah, and whether they top it or not, I think that purely if they have the same type of match that they did on TV, the Brooklyn crowd is the best crowd NXT is going to get all year, so it's going to up the ante and just in general by default by having it in that venue. I'm looking forward to this match, and I don't know if I think that the titles are going to switch hands here, but I don't know. If Adam Cole, do you think it matters if Adam Cole wins, if Undisputed Era wins? Like, they have to keep all the titles, or are they all losing them?
I think it matters. I think one title will stay where it's at, and the other one will go.
Okay, so you're saying you think Undisputed Era is going to win then?
Yeah, I do. I'm picking Undisputed Era to win here. I don't think it makes a whole lot of sense to put the belts back on Bate and Seven because I think they're going to anchor the NXT UK shows.
Yeah.
So I just don't see them.
Good call.
Yeah, I don't see them taking the belts and then going back to the UK to kind of build that show. So I got to go with Undisputed Era here.
I'd have to agree with you there. Yeah. I think that's a good idea. And yeah, you brought up the UK thing. That's a whole nother piece of the puzzle that we'll be seeing after all this takes place. So I agree with you on that point.
All right, let's go to the Women's Championship match. Shayna Baszler versus Kairi Sane. This is the third time now that they will be meeting. Kairi Sane took the first match in the Mae Young Classic last year. Shayna Baszler got the rematch in February of this past year. And now they're wrestling for the third time, this time for the NXT Women's Championship. What do you think here? Shayna Baszler continues to improve every time she's out there. Kairi Sane is fantastic in the ring. Maybe this is what Shayna Baszler needs to make her look even more dominant or more amazing.
I just want to see Kairi Sane do the elbow. I don't care if she wins or loses. I just want to see the elbow drop. I think the fact that this is their rubber match, that means that they're going to have just as great a match, if not better, than the previous two. They've got to work with each other in the past. I don't see Shayna Baszler necessarily losing this championship just yet. I think she has a little bit more to gain and to prove as champion. And I think Kairi Sane will get the title eventually, but not just yet. However, I would not be surprised if they pull the trigger here in a hot Brooklyn crowd to give it to Kairi Sane.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised either. I don't think they're going to. I agree with you. I don't think it's time to take the belt off Shayna yet. She's improving right now, and I think that they got to get her to a point where she can take a match and make it good every time, or be as at least put a serviceable match every time. And I think she's getting there. I think this match with Kairi is going to be great. I agree with you. I do want to see the Pirate's elbow because it's just a cool move. I mean, she does it like no other person does an elbow drop. It's the neatest thing. So I would love to see Kairi Sane take the title, but I don't think it happens this time. I think Shayna Baszler retains the belt.
And how about this quick little question? I agree. I think Baszler will keep it, but I kind of hope Kairi does. Quick little question. who do you think has the better match of the MMA 4 horsewomen? Shayna Baszler against Kairi Sane or Ronda Rousey against Alexa Bliss? I know we're going to get there, but who do you think has the better match out of the two?
Well, definitely Alexa Bliss and Ronda Rousey.
You think so?
Yeah.
Okay, I can't wait to talk about it then.
Yeah, I do, but we'll get there.
We'll get there. Okay.
The final match on NXT TakeOver is the grudge match, I guess you could say, between Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa. It's a last man standing match.
Oh, my God.
Which I don't know how much more brutal they can get after the last match they had, but it's going to have to because
they have no
one
choice
person
now.
has to stay down. And this is for the NXT Championship. I cannot, for the life of me, see Tommaso Ciampa losing this match because he just became the champion. But Johnny Gargano, if anyone's going to take it from him, it's got to be him.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of torn here.
I agree. It's the same. I agree exactly the same point. Ciampa just got it, so it's tough because it wasn't supposed to be this match. So it's almost like, are they hot shotting what we would have seen? Like, would this match have happened anyway with Ciampa beating Aleister Black first and Gargano earning another shot? But I think now, even though that it's fast tracked, this is their WrestleMania. No one else is going to beat Ciampa other than Gargano. I think if you're going to do it, this is the time. Because I don't know how much longer Gargano stays on NXT. I say Gargano wins in a great match. You said I don't know how they're going to top it. This is it. I don't think it can get any more brutal than this, unless they did a Hell in a Cell, but that's more of a WWE thing. So I don't know. I take Gargano for the title here.
Yeah, I'm going with Ciampa. Like I said, I can't see them taking the belt that quickly. He's only had it for 3 weeks now?
Something like that.
Yeah. It's just to me it would seem just odd to have him drop it right away. Now, if you're going to have him drop it right away and it's not going to be back to the champion who was before, this is the guy you want to have do it. The only thing I could see is that Gargano defeats Ciampa for the title and then Ciampa moves up to the main roster.
Okay, yeah, that could be something. I don't know. So you think Ciampa would move up before Gargano?
I do. I think Gargano is going to be in NXT for a little while longer here.
And boy, isn't that exciting that it's almost the same thing with the Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn dynamic, although I think it's a little bit different with these two guys. This is definitely more of a blood feud. Won't that be exciting, depending on who goes up first? But whoever goes up first, you know that the other guy will be waiting in the wings to come up and meet whoever that is on Raw or SmackDown to settle the score even more on a main stage.
Oh, yeah. And I hope that they can draw it out a little while to kind of build that.
I think they can.
Yeah, and just, imagine if they could draw it out to WrestleMania next year, have Ciampa in a match, and then have Gargano just come out and destroy him and cost him something.
That's all you got to do. You don't have to have whoever it is both be on the main roster or just in Raw or SmackDown. You can just have one up there, have a big match for them, and then have the other one ruin it. I think there's a great story to be told there because they've told a great one thus far. It's definitely one of the best feuds WWE has produced in a long time, and looking forward to Saturday and what the future holds for both.
I agree with you 100% there. I'm going with Ciampa on this one. I just can't seem to think that they'll drop the belt yet, but I wouldn't be pissed if he lost.
Yeah, I think it would be a nice capper to a great night of action, which I'm sure it's going to be that way.
You bet. All right, let's move into SummerSlam, the WWE's biggest event of the summer. This is basically WrestleMania Part 2, if you're looking on a calendar of wrestling year.
Especially since it starts pretty much as soon as NXT TakeOver ends. The pre-show starts at 5 p.m. So they got to just change out and swap the ring aprons and get new people in there.
And it's 5 p.m. for you, and it's 4 p.m. on a Sunday afternoon for me. So
imagine on the West Coast, 2 p.m.?
I know.
2 p.m.?
It's ridiculous. I don't understand why they had to move all this up. I mean, I do get it. If they're going to have a longer pay-per-view, if they're going to have a 4 or 5 hour pay-per-view, you don't want the East Coast staying up till past midnight to watch a show on a Sunday night.
Unless it's WrestleMania, and even then, you probably don't want to risk it, but I think for SummerSlam, you want to keep it under midnight.
Yeah, you do. So, yeah, it's going to be a 2-hour kickoff show, which for life of me, I don't understand. But you
got to get people on the show, I guess.
I guess. They got 3 matches set for the kickoff show. And It's just a long night, but they've got a ton of matches for the main show, so it'll be interesting to see. So let's start with the kickoff show. We know for a fact that the Cruiserweight Championship will be defended on the kickoff show. These guys just can't get a break and be on the main shows, no matter what they do. So it's going to be Cedric Alexander defending the Cruiserweight Championship against Drew Gulak, who they've really built very good. They've done a really good job of building Drew Gulak into the character he is now since Triple H kind of took back over the creative on that show, which is great because before he was just kind of getting boring with his PowerPoint presentation gimmick. Now he's come into his own, and I really like it. So this should be a really good match. If you don't watch 205 Live, I recommend checking it out here and there because it's really good wrestling on that show, and they're doing a good job getting these guys over as characters as well, without all the BS that Vince likes to color them with.
Yeah, and I agree. I think Gulak has come into his own. Do you think he takes the title or not? Because I see Cedric keeping it. And I don't know if they're ever going to get a shot at a main roster show or a match on a
They got to do it at some point. I mean, this is good quality wrestling to just waste on half the crowd because they haven't shown up yet.
It's almost as if you'd rather have them have a match on the NXT show if they could fit that in. Because 205 Live, if you're not gonna consider 205 Live, if it's its own show and yet it still doesn't get its own show's like a spot. It should have a spot on the main card if it's already having its own show.
Yeah,
I don't get why they're not doing that. So I think Alexander retains.
Yeah, and that would be cool if they put the cruiserweight matches on the NXT shows. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, there's great crowds. I'm sure. I would be almost certain these guys want to perform in front of a full house instead of half the crowd that's not even in the building yet at 5 p.m.
Right. I agree. I do think Drew Gulak is going to win this match. I picked him to take the title here. I think it makes sense. Cedric Alexander, to me, hasn't been the greatest champion that they could have. He's kind of a cookie-cutter babyface right now.
Yeah,
and I would love to see him kind of have more character and turn heel maybe at some point. So Drew Gulak is the perfect adversary for him to take the title off him. So I'm going with Drew Gulak. I want him to win this one.
All right, cool. I think Alexander takes it, though.
All right, well, that could be. The next kickoff show match that we have scheduled is the B Team, Curtis Axel and Bo Dallas, taking on the Revival, Scott Dawson, Dash Wilder, for the Raw Tag Team Championships. I'm really torn here because I like the B Team. I think they're great, but I love the Revival, and they need to start pushing these guys. So I'm going to pick the Revival to win the titles. I don't think it's going to happen, but that's who I want to win, so I'm picking them.
I agree wholeheartedly. And it's almost the same type of scenario as the Cruiserweights. It's like the Revival finally get their chance. And no offense to the B Team, but it's the Revival get their chance for a WWE Raw Tag Team title match. It's on the pre-show. It's against guys that aren't necessarily the biggest drawing tag team. But I think that if they give them the chance, they give them the titles, maybe they'll run with it and become a more successful tag team and maybe get a more of a not pre-show role next time around. So I want the Revival to win this, and I think they will.
All right, great. So we agree on that. The last pre-show, kickoff show, whatever you want to call it, match, Lana and Rusev in a mixed tag match against Andrade Cien Almas and Zelina Vega. This feud has been going on for a while, at least, 3 weeks now on SmackDown. It's actually one of the entertaining parts of the show, so yep. I like it. For me, I don't care who wins this match. I think they're gonna go with Andrade Almas and Zelina Vega here, but I wouldn't be mad if Lana and Rusev won this match.
I think so too. I think that it's going to be definitely a pro Rusev crowd. Although Cien Almas has a lot of history with this Brooklyn crowd ever since the NXT days. But I do think even though Rusev and Lana will get all the cheers, I think Almas and Vega will get the win because they probably need it more. Yep,
I agree. So let's move into the main card now. We've got lots of title matches in this card, and we got some really good and some not so good grudge matches. Let's start with the not so good grudge match. Baron Corbin versus Finn Balor. Exactly.
I just saw this match last month, and it was fine, but why do we have to see it again?
I completely agree with you. I don't understand why they must continue this whole story. Maybe they need something for Baron Corbin to do other than being the Constable, and Finn Balor is kind of lost in the shuffle right now. So I guess
lost in the shuffle is a good thing to say, because he's worse than that. That is a compliment to say he's lost in the shuffle. He has not had anything meaningful in such a long time, and it is a damn shame that it is that way.
Yeah.
I hope that he takes this match against Baron Corbin. Baron Corbin is in this role right now as the Constable to have a mic role, get his mic skills up so that he can eventually grow into a better character moving forward. So I think that he doesn't need this win. He's going to still be the Constable regardless. I hope Finn Balor takes it and hopefully moves up to something better than this.
Well, I'm looking at it from a WWE booking standpoint, and Finn Balor won the match last month. So I'm going with Baron Corbin to win it this month so they could drag it out at least another month and have their payoff match where Finn will finally win out. So sadly, I'm going with WWE booking here and taking Baron Corbin. I agree with you. All the way. All right, the other grudge match, the one I'm looking forward to most here, Daniel Bryan versus The Miz. This has been a built-in storyline now for, well over a year. I thought that they would really string this out even longer and wait till WrestleMania to have this match, but they're going to go ahead with this, so the only thing I can see is The Miz somehow wins this match.
I would say the same thing, and I do not think this would be the last time you see these two in the ring. I like that even though this is not the big WrestleMania match we would want, they gave the 3-segment promo hyping from 2010 to now, this whole thing from NXT and rookies and talking smack and all that. So I think this is a perfect way to, boom, you get the match, you have Miz sneak one out somehow, and then you kind of quietly back them away, and then you build it up again. Somehow they meet again, maybe at WrestleMania. And I kind of hope it's for a title. I don't know if they could pull it off where Miz could be a champion and Daniel Bryan can take it from him, because the only title that would be there is the WWE title, and I don't know if he'll be champion by then, but I mean, I wouldn't put it past him. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I think that Miz is the right time for the Miz to become WWE champion again. He's the hottest he's ever been, and it would be a lot better than 2011, that's for sure.
I would not disagree with you on that for sure. My thoughts are this is how it's going to go. The Miz will win this match. He'll cheat somehow to get the victory, which is great. And then he'll just say he's done. He's already beaten Daniel Bryan. Yep. He has nothing else to prove. And it'll be Daniel Bryan doing everything he can to get that match again with The Miz. And that's what's going to drag out for us. I hope anyway. So we'll have to wait and see how it goes. But I suspect The Miz will win this match somehow and then just kind of try and brush Daniel Bryan to the side until we can get a bigger match set up where Daniel will then go over there. So this has been a great storyline. And I don't know if they planned this that far in advance, knowing that Daniel Bryan was going to get cleared at some point. I doubt it. But they got that perfect moment on that Talking Smack episode to really build something here, and it's been awesome. And they played it. They used it so well all the way through the draft, through when Daniel Bryan announced he was back, and then told Paige that he needs to bring Miz over to SmackDown. I mean, it's so good. And the 3 segments that you mentioned from this last week were done so well. So I'm pumped about this. It's going to be great.
I am too. The only thing I'm worried about is you and I both know WWE and how they book. I just don't want this to be a Daniel Bryan gets his moment and beats The Miz clean, and that's the last we hear of it. I'd much rather have The Miz win and have Daniel Bryan chase, because having the face chase the heel is a lot more. It's a lot more rewarding, I think, for the fans than having a heel try to chase the babyface. Because in kayfabe terms, Daniel Bryan would have no problem facing The Miz again. So you'd much rather have The Miz try to run away if he gets that quick win against Daniel Bryan.
I agree.
Instead the other way.
I think the best thing that they can do is have The Miz win here, have Daniel Bryan demand he get a rematch, The Miz say no way, and then have The Miz demand that he get some sort of title match, whether that be the Intercontinental Championship or the United States Championship or the WWE Championship, and then have Daniel Bryan cost him that match.
Yep, I agree wholeheartedly with that.
That would be great. Moving on, Kevin Owens versus Braun Strowman with the stipulation that if Braun Strowman loses, no matter how, count out, disqualification, whatever, Kevin Owens would then become Mr. Money in the Bank and get Braun Strowman's Money in the Bank championship match. Here's the thing. I don't want to see Braun Strowman lose the Money in the Bank because I think it's cool. Does he need it? He really doesn't.
No.
Kevin Owens taking this from him by somehow screwing Braun Strowman in the match, I think would be brilliant. And I think that Kevin Owens will win here.
Really?
I do.
Wow. And you don't think there's any way that it would come back off and go to Braun? You think Kevin Owens is going to have it and then eventually cash it in?
I do.
Wow. Well, I mean, I can see that happening. I almost can see that happening more than I could see Braun just, straight up winning this, because they don't put this stipulation in if it's going to end, just like a clean victory, perfectly clean at least. Right. I think they're going to tease a lot of possible DQs and a lot of fun stuff. So it's going to be a fun little match. But I don't know. I think Braun Strowman finally just gets Kevin Owens out of this thing and remains Money in the Bank contract holder, because do you think Braun Strowman's going to get an opportunity finally, even if he doesn't have that briefcase? Because I don't see it. He hasn't had it yet.
He will at some point, but I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon, where the fans want it now, right? So
I think the fans have wanted it for a long time. They've wanted it for almost 2 WrestleMania post WrestleMania Raws. So
absolutely. So we'll have to wait and see. But I do. I think Kevin Owens wins this, takes the Money in the Bank. And then he becomes Mr. Money in the Bank, and now, depending on what happens in the main event, he'll either be, I don't know that he'll want to really call out Brock Lesnar, but
no.
I could see him wanting to take out Roman Reigns, because he doesn't like Roman Reigns. There's an established history there, so we'll see. But I do. I think I'm picking Kevin Owens here because I think it'd be the more interesting choice. And Strowman honestly doesn't need that Money in the Bank. So.
No, he doesn't, but I like the dynamic, and I like him with the briefcase, so I'm going to keep Braun Strowman with the case winning the match.
All right. The Intercontinental Championship match, Dolph Ziggler with Drew McIntyre in his corner versus Seth Rollins with Dean Ambrose in his corner. I'm sorry, but Dean's got a turn here, right?
Oh, yeah, I hope so. The haircut, he definitely looks beefed up a couple pounds. He looks a lot more edgier than before. He actually looks threatening and not just this lunatic I'm so crazy it's funny gimmick. I think there's a lot of dastardly things he could pull off with this character now after coming back, and I loved that it wasn't a surprise for a pay-per-view and that it was a surprise right beforehand, so the normal fan might think, hey, he's going to help out Seth Rollins, this is going to be great, he's going to even the playing field. I think he turns, whether Rollins wins the title or not. I think Ambrose turns on him and we get some more great stuff between these two, which is great because we already had Seth versus Dean as Seth is the heel. Now I think with roles reversed, I think it'd be very interesting.
Yep, and I agree with you. I got Seth Rollins winning the match, but it's going to be by a DQ because Dean Ambrose is going to attack him.
There you go.
So I have Dolph retaining the title. I'm looking forward to this. I think it's going to be good. You're right. Dean Ambrose looks phenomenal right now. He looks like a bad guy. He looks like a badass. And so to have him turn on Seth is the right move. And he can do there's plenty of storylines they can use for this. The Shield didn't help him while he was injured, blah, 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 blah. We can do all sorts of things. So I'm looking forward to that.
Me too. It should be great.
SmackDown Tag Team Championships, the Bludgeon Brothers versus the New Day. I am so not giving a royal butt about this match at all. I was hoping it would be the Bludgeon Brothers versus the Bar, and then they had the New Day go over on the Bar, and it was just like same old crap. I just don't want to see it. So to me, I'm picking the Bludgeon Brothers to retain here. I don't see any value in putting the tag belts back on the New Day.
I don't see it either. I don't know what it means for the New Day going forward. I don't know if they're going to break up, if it were to happen, when it would happen. I think they're still kind of relevant, and I think the fans still are pretty into them. But I don't. That again, another driven character, so they don't need to have a title. So I'm going to go with the Bludgeon Brothers here.
All right. Moving in now, the United States Championship match, Shinsuke Nakamura versus Jeff Hardy once again. Now, last pay-per-view, we saw Jeff Hardy kind of get rolled up and defeated instantly. we thought maybe that was because he had an injury that he was dealing with, because we've heard he's got back problems, and that's why he's not using some of his moves. Then he called him out the next Tuesday and had a match with him again, a longer match, and he's been wrestling every week since. He's got the thing going with Randy Orton, and so I don't see Jeff Hardy winning here. I think Shinsuke retains his belt, and Randy Orton and Jeff Hardy go off from here.
I would agree with you, although who do you see next for Nakamura then? Because I can see Jeff Hardy maybe actually taking some time off after this due to Randy Orton, and Randy Orton stepping in and facing Nakamura for the United States title.
The only problem I have with that is that Randy Orton is a heel based on what he's been doing. To have heel versus heel just doesn't seem like the right move. There's plenty of people for Nakamura to fight on SmackDown. He doesn't have to follow,
especially in the face realm there.
Yeah, so I think I think Shinsuke is fine, and I think the money match they're going for is Orton Hardy,
and they do have a long history dating back to 07, 08. So
yep,
yeah, I think Nakamura retains then.
All right. And Carmella versus Charlotte versus Becky for the SmackDown Women's Championship here. Originally, it was supposed to just be Carmella versus Becky. I thought maybe they'd pull the trigger and give Becky the title, but now they put Charlotte Flair in here. I have no scenario but other than seeing Carmella walk out the champion.
I agree. I don't think she needs to lose this. I think the triple threat is a perfect way for her to get a win over both these top-level competitors, and Charlotte doesn't have to take a pin. So I think Carmella just retains. Simple as that.
Yep, I'm going with the same thing here. Raw Women's Championship match, Alexa Bliss versus Ronda Rousey. Now, a lot of this got thrown into disarray because of the untimely passing of Natalia's father. I'm not sure. Originally, I would have said that this is where Natalia turns on Rousey, but I don't think you do that to someone coming back after losing a parent so close to the wrestling community. I don't think you want fans booing her at this point, so I think they're going to have to hold off on that. So does that mean Ronda Rousey walks out the champion?
Even with the Natalia thing from before, I thought that Ronda was going to get her win here and then go into the women's only pay-per-view and defend it there. But if she doesn't win here, do you think she does win it at Evolution?
That's a great question.
Because I know. Well, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I know you have your Trish Stratuses, and you might have some crazy big matches for that show. But I think you want to sell it by saying Ronda Rousey is going to defend her first defense or her first pay-per-view defense. I don't know if you want to have her chasing still after so long for that show. I think you want to have her going in as champion, defending against an Nia Jax maybe again or someone else, but I think it's better to have that instead of her chasing.
I think from that standpoint, you're right. I think that having her be champion going into Evolution is probably the best move they can do. But I don't know. I'm picking Alexa Bliss to win this somehow. I just don't know how yet.
So you think Ronda gets another loss?
Yeah, I don't think it hurts her.
You don't think so?
No, I don't. I think especially depending on how they do it. If they do it properly by having someone turn on her, I don't know who that would be anymore.
Yeah,
because we've lost Natalia at this point. I don't know if she'll be back in time for SummerSlam. She might, but I just
you know WWE. They might pull a trigger on that anyway. You never know.
They might, and Natalia, she's a player. She'll do it. No problem.
Yeah, she's a pro.
I just don't know how you're going to get the fans to. Well, I guess if you turn on Rousey, the fans will boo anyway. But
I think the fans would know that it would be in good, as hard as this is said, good taste to boo Natalia because you know that she's dealing with this and this is what she's going to do, and you're going to have to just go with it, even though your heart's with her. You still got to give her the boos.
Yeah, I'm taking Alexa to win this. I think she walks out champion still.
Which would be big if she does, and another big thing for her resume, solidifying her as one of the top out of this four horsewoman era. But I think Ronda takes it here in the big spotlight.
All right, cool. WWE Championship match, AJ Styles Mojo. This is the match I am looking forward to the most on this card. If they
is it 2006?
Oh, if they can have anything like their battles in TNA/Impact Wrestling, this is going to be amazing.
Yeah, I think this is such a different type of match than we were thinking Nakamura AJ would be. We had those two guys who had legendary matches in Japan among other places, and we had a big WrestleMania match, and it really just didn't deliver. It took 2 or 3 matches for them to have a really good match. This is a whole different animal here, legitimately, with Samoa Joe. I think he's a different type of worker. I don't think he'll be hampered by the WWE style. I think he's going to go in there, and him and AJ are going to have a killer match. I do think AJ is going to retain because I think they got a lot of plans for him going forward as a cover athlete for the video game. So I think AJ wins, but I do think this might be match of the night easily.
I hope so, because I know these two, and I know they can deliver because I've seen it multiple times in the past. I hope that they tear the house down and show what a WWE Championship match should be now. Yeah. Especially with AJ Styles as your champion.
And especially with the Universal title picture in disarray for
Correct.
A long time, this is your chance to kill it on the main stage.
Yep, and I think they do. And I also agree AJ Styles walks out champion. I think that they're going to keep the belt on him to pass CM Punk as the longest reigning WWE champion ever, or of the common era, I should say. And he deserves it. I mean, I hope AJ walks into WrestleMania next year as champ still, because he deserves it. I mean, he's the man.
Yeah, he really is. And it would be it'd be really great. It's almost as if you would had Sting come over in his prime and do the same type of thing. This is another guy that was homegrown in TNA/Impact Wrestling, and they gave him the ball, and he's 2-time champ already, and he's in a great run right now. So
absolutely,
look for AJ to win.
On the final match of the night, Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns for the Universal Championship. Here's my thought, Juice, and follow me on this one. I say Roman Reigns finally wins here, because if he doesn't, his character is just assassinated, basically. So I think he finally pulls out the victory against all odds against Brock Lesnar. Kevin Owens cashes in the Money in the Bank on him, and Roman Reigns defeats Kevin Owens to solidify his Universal Championship win.
Wow. I mean, that's something WWE would do. It's not good enough that he beats Brock. He's got to beat another guy. Yeah. But I could see that happening. And now the match I'm looking forward to most is AJ and Samoa Joe. No doubt about that. But the storylines and just the overall aura of this hopefully final match is going to be insane, because we don't know what's going to happen. Paul Heyman teased that he's going to turn, but then it was really just a ruse. But who knows? That could have been a ruse. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if Lesnar's taking the title to the UFC. I don't know if he's going to just drop the title, or if Roman's finally going to get this shot. I don't know who's going to be Money in the Bank guy, and if Strowman or Owens are going to be champion. I don't know what the hell's going to happen, but I think it's going to be a great and exciting time. These guys do kill it when they have matches. This is their third this year. I don't know. I think WWE gets scared again. I think Lesnar retains. Honestly, I don't know if they want to. They get so scared with these big, smarky crowds, they don't want to pull the trigger on it. I don't think they'll do it. And they've got, again, if they keep Braun Strowman as the Money in the Bank holder, I think it's a lot easier for him to go against the Brock Lesnar than have him go against Roman, because you could make Braun Strowman a bigger character against Brock than you would if he was to face Roman. So I think they want Braun to be that character. So. All
right. Well, there you have it. Those are our calls and our predictions on NXT TakeOver, which is Saturday, and SummerSlam, which is Sunday. I'm hoping that I will be available after SummerSlam to hop on here and do a quick review. I don't know if you'll be available, Dan. I heard you may be watching with our good pal Matt, so maybe I can get you both to hop on afterwards. I know it'll be late, so we'll see how it goes. It's a Sunday
night. We'll see how it goes. Yeah, we'll see.
But if not, I'll try and hop on Monday and give my thoughts on the show itself. Otherwise, we'll see you next week on Friday. Catch us on Twitter. I'm at Brian Thomas 878. He is at Juicy Steen. That's right.
Yep.
Until next week, for Juice, I'm Brian. Thanks for listening to the Weekly Suplex.
It is exhausting being so talented.
I'm not finished with you!
You are not even worth my time.